So, welcome to the smart car. You can adjust there, you can adjust there. We're going to open the sunroof for light.
It's probably the only car I've been in that actually fits me.
You should get one. So welcome this week's month. I don't know how often we do this, but this whatever's episode of Smart Conversations is with Natasha Goring, who's very important because she heads up ASIB. And we're driving around, by the way, the grounds of St. Stithians, which we'll explain just now. And we're about to pass Seattle Coffee Shop, which is one of Natasha's favourite things.
Yes.
So tell us, what does it mean to be the head of ASIB? What does ASIB do, the Automatic Sprinkler Inspection Bureau?
So, what we do is we are supposed to monitor and inspect sprinkler systems in South Africa and check it against code. And often people think when I say sprinkler systems, we're talking about garden irrigation, which has led to
I can see you working in the garden, actually.
Oh yes, no. I mean, it's led to many interesting and heated discussions when people wonder why their garden sprinklers need to be inspected. And obviously it's about fire sprinklers and life safety and property protection. You can't just spend a couple of million rand on a sprinkler system and then leave it for a couple of years and expect it to operate when it wants to. Ooh, this is beautiful.
So now why are you explaining this? This is the chapel at St. Stithians. Would a building like this need a sprinkler system?
With the amount of fires in historical buildings that have been publicized worldwide over the last 3 years, anything that's precious would need to be sprinkler protected. In the UK, they were talking about leaving out sprinklers in all historical buildings, and then they lost a couple of their museums. And it's all very well to say, yes, it's insured, etc., but is that really what you want? You're never going to be able to replace it. So that's what people tell me. They tell me it's insured, it's fine. Then also, now we have sprinklers. People tell me I mustn't have a sprinkler, Natasha, because it's going to do more damage actually than help, because it's going to flood everything and damage everything. So what's the point? Right, so I always find that very fascinating, because essentially a sprinkler will only actually go off in the event that the temperature around it reaches 68 or 79 or 141 degrees.
So you said that,
Exactly, so the sprinklers actually operate at a specific temperature. Not all the sprinklers in the building go off at the same time. So it is not possible that a sprinkler system is going to do more damage than the fire that it's trying to extinguish.
This is Marius, we need to hoot at him. He's the tennis coach. You coached Kevin Anderson and many other people, old Buffs and Stithians. So people tell me there aren't so many fires, because I don't see fires every day in South Africa. There's must be one every month, second month. So what's the point? So
if you have a look at our statistics, there's an extraordinary amount of fires, and we're only actually getting a small portion of the statistics because only so many fire departments report.
Right.
So looking at our statistics, which is published every 2 years or so, we are looking at 2017. There were 135 fires every single day in South Africa, which were
every day.
Every day, which were insurance payouts. So those felt fires and everything that you see, those aren't counted, because nobody's going to insure a field of grass.
So tell me what an average, if there is such a thing, an average sprinkler system would cost. So if I own a spa,
yes,
what is going to be the cost to put in a sprinkler system?
So obviously depending on the risk. Now, sprinkler systems, they're essentially there to control a certain fire load. So if your fire load is higher, we need more water, and therefore it's going to cost more. It's really that simple.
We're going to off-road now, by the way,
Really?
because the smart car can do any off-road.
All right.
And we're going to find out how you have the ability to do inspections. What training did you do? What training do you need? What training is available for people?
So the ASIB will do all of its own in-house training, and and we've got our own courses and so forth that go through it. But strangely enough, in South Africa, there is no school that you can go to get an inspector, and the majority of the people are self-taught. So the trade itself has gotten together and created parameters that they would like their qualified people to work to, and those parameters are tested once a year.
So how effective are our fire services in South Africa?
So that is unfortunately a major issue, and I teach and I lecture many of the fire departments, and I listen to the problems that they come across, and while you have a handful of very well educated firemen, they essentially up against politics more than anything else in trying to do their job.
It's obviously a dangerous job.
It's a very dangerous job. I mean, it's not only a dangerous job in terms of fire, but now they can't go into a fair amount of townships to actually fight the fires in the townships because they get assaulted.
And water pressure and stuff like that. I mean, I obviously don't know about this, and I suppose most people don't either. Is there a tap on just about every corner where a fire truck can plug in and sort out a fire? And if there is, is there water?
So, obviously we've got major water shortages in South Africa. The Western Cape has been the most vocal about it, but you've got the Eastern Cape, which is suffering an incredible amount just in terms of water shortages. One of the problems in areas which has water is that our town's mains don't have pressure. Now, it's all very well to say that you've got water, but if you've got water sitting over there in a pond, you don't have any pressure behind it. How are you getting the water from A to B, getting it up a building, etc.?
Since we're driving around to school, tell us where you went to school.
I was one of the first Crawfordians.
Did you like school?
College, Killarney. I enjoyed school as much as I suppose any teenager would. We all begrudge it.
Were you a naughty teenager?
I was definitely a rebellious teenager.
So, John, your husband,
yes,
had a history with ASIB as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, how long has ASIB been around? And part of that, do you know what you're doing, or are you making this up
well,
to impress me in this conversation?
So the ASIB is about to turn 50 years old in February next year. So it's a big deal for us. Not many companies can actually get to that milestone. It was originally started by the short-term insurers, and Graham Goring, which was John's father, was the one that got them together and proposed this idea of a third-party inspectorate that could give them a uniform inspection service.
Yes.
And it started from there. And John started working for the company when he was 17, and then climbed his way up the ladder, where he eventually convinced the insurers to sell it to him.
That's amazing.
For
so 50 years.
Yeah,
wow.
50 years.
Okay, I want to try and play a song. You can choose one. Let's see if I can operate this. It's called Burn Baby Burn.
I know that song.
Well, why can't I find it?
I don't know, but I'm beginning to judge you a little based on your playlist.
I think you're lying. You judged me and other people long ago. You're not starting. I was about to buy you a coffee at Seattle, but I might not now. Honestly, okay, you're not allowed a song. You're allowed a coffee. That's all that you're going to get. And it's because you've survived the drive, which I'm very impressed with.
Thank you so much.
So what do you think of the smart car?
It actually is a very cool car.